Excellent. So once again, welcome everyone. Let's start the reading. So it goes. So here we go. Other persons displaying more passion for controversy than for philosophical cogency say that the world is periodic, that the universe repeats itself ad infinitum in cycles of time. But for this, it is unnecessary that the initial basic raw material will be infinite in extent. For however meager it may be, it has been infused with the phoenix power of self regeneration in its being said. Full stop. That's a reading we can start with. I'll read it again and then we'll hear views. Other persons displaying more passion for controversy than for philosophical cogency say that the world is periodic, and that the universe repeats itself ad infinitum cycles of time. But for this, it is unnecessary that that the initial basic raw material should be infinite in extent. While however meager it may be, it has been infused with the phoenix power of self-regeneration. It's being said to repeat itself. Stop. So let's hear what members think. I think everyone has their mic on, except for brother or sister called iPhone. So before we hear from us in terms of what we've read, the paragraph on the screen, let me rename iPhone on the screen. iPhone, can you identify yourself? I can't see you don't have a mic, so it'll be hard. Are you able to type into the chat? If you can, type the chat so I can change your name on the screen from iPhone to whatever your name. So for those who have joined us for the first time, I have read a paragraph on the screen, and our modus operandi, the way we work is we read a paragraph and then we discuss it. Discuss it by hearing the views of everyone. Everyone's thinking is important, and nobody's thinking is more valuable than the thinking of any other person. By which we mean that your capacity to think is valued. It doesn't mean that all thinking are correct. Because if you think that 1 and 1 is 5, you have thought, yes, but your thinking is wrong. So we accept that thinking can be wrong. However, we value all thinking in the sense that all human beings have a right to think for themselves, think about what they think about. So in that sense, we value everyone's thinking. So I've read what is on the screen. Let's share our understanding of what we have read. So let me start with Brother Michael, please. Thank you.
Hello, hi. Yes, so they're talking about people talking about the beginning of the universe and whether it's cyclic and many. I think it's suggesting the idea that you have many universes going on at various phases with each other, so there's more than one, or it's repeating itself. I think they're saying it's periodic and it repeats itself, rather than. I think it goes on further to say.
Yeah, Michael, link it with the cosmic raw material, because that is what we are discussing, isn't it?
But
the origin and the extent of the cosmic raw material. So the paragraph
so
builds on that.
what they're saying is it doesn't have to be infinite. to be infinite in extent, for however meager it may be, it has been infused with the phoenix power of self-generation. So what they're saying, it's not infinite, this cosmic raw material, and it regenerates itself and repeats itself. Like the flight of the phoenix bird, I think that has a rebirth ever so often. So it's something that develops and then collapses and then regrows again. I think that's what they're saying in the cycles of time.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your thinking, Michael. You
Yeah.
want to add any more, or should I move on to someone else now?
So that was that it was it said it repeats itself in infinitum in cycles of time. So I think that's what they're saying is that it just repeats itself all the time for an infinite period of time. I think that's what they're talking about there. Right. Rather than infinite in size, but infinite in time. The repetition just goes on forever. I think that's my implication. I think that's my understanding.
Okay. There is a sense in which infinite in time is linked with infinite in size because, as you know, time is a dimension of space. Thank you very much, Brother Michael, for your view. Let's go to Brother Mafafa. Welcome. Brother Victor, um, welcome also. So let's hear from Brother Ras. Brother Ras, you can't link it with your ancient studies. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's the cosmic teachings you are receiving as you shared with us on Saturday, I believe. Yeah, or it was on Saturday. Yeah, you shared that with us. Yeah, feel free to link that with what you are learning in terms of the origin of the cosmos. So, Brother Ras, what is your thinking on what we've just read, or what I've just read?
Give thanks, my elder. Maximum respect, my elder. Once again, greet all the members of Africa. Blessed. I'll just be brief because I'm still studying it and it's a very interesting topic. It's kind of also interesting listening to you, my elder, and the other fellow constituents. So basically, like you say, my elder, based on the history of our Bantu ancestors and ancestresses, on this part of your reading, I'll just be specific on this part as you requested. Uh, if we were to accept that view of the infinitum in cycles of time, then I wouldn't say it's actually a problem, but I would say we can it hit bit of both in a sense that if for instance, let's talk about our solar system. If the scientists say that our solar system, basically our sun that we are orbiting, was created 4.6 billion years ago, you see, as a result of a collapse or a gravitational collapse of the molecular cloud, you see. So we need to understand what is the molecular cloud. So we know we've studied understand the creations or the technicalities that came about to create the molecular, then it should be simple for us to understand how our solar system came to be created 4.6 billion years ago, which will in turn come into the present moment we are in. Sorry, which will come into the present moment we are in now, which is 2023 on the Gregorian calendar, where we can find out that if if people, let's timing we know is man-made, but if we can calculate, you see, I don't want to say drastic changes of the matter or the energy itself, then we can say that, I would say roughly in closing, we can say that the universe or dark matter or whatever the space or the universe consists of has always been there in the form of that energy. Where when we were in our high school here in South Africa, we were taught in physical science class that energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be contained. So That's basically where I'm still at, my elder. Basically, I'm still at the point whereby if we can rank the creation of the sun, the earth, the 8 planets from the molecular cloud, then it should be simple for us to realize that what designs the molecular cloud is what always is there. So I don't know. Hence, I was saying I'm supplying, I'm supporting both of these controversial thoughts. Blessed, my elder.
Yeah, don't go yet. Still on your thinking. So have you come across the thinking that because what we are reading is saying that there are those who, in terms of the extent of the cosmic raw material, argue that actually that the world is periodic, as Brother Michael was explaining. It comes, it collapses, not that it disappears, but it kind of collapses and then comes back again. That the universe is a cycle of time. It goes in cycles. Is that something you've come across in uh, your teaching or your classes?
Yes, my elder. Positive.
Okay. Thank you very much for Brother Ross. In case you are wondering, why is a philosophy class that has the ideological goals of the unification, total liberation, and development of Africa? As we speak, we have a situation in Niger, in West Africa. Some want war, some say no war. If you're wondering, why are we talking about the cosmos and the planets and things? Why are we doing that? In case you are wondering, um, the reason is that we are looking at chapter 1 of the philosophy and ideology of scientism, and chapter 1 is philosophy in retrospect, meaning that it looks at what the philosophical legacy is. What have we been like? What have we inherited? We are taking if you like, a summary or analysis of what has gone before now. At the time Nkrumah was writing, what has gone before, and then once we analyze what we have or what we have had from our ancestors, because remember, philosophy, consensusism, and African philosophy. Once we've analyzed that, then we say, okay, this is how we go. So we know where we've come from, we know our present, then we can tell, okay, this is where we should go. And so we are looking at that. Now, where we come from is very, very important. We don't come from white people. White people is not the origin of Africans. So we are looking at where we have come from. And to look at where we have come from, you are talking about what there is, and then how do we explain what there is. I'll talk more about later, but let's continue listening to everyone. Let's hear everyone on what they think about the paragraph on the screen. Right, let's go to Brother Pigeon.
Greetings once again. Hope I'm audible.
Very.
Yes, I'd like to give share my thinking, but there's a caution here that this paragraph is for those who want to be controversial enough. So allow me to be joining the passion of controversy. And
Before you continue with controversy, and I remind the class that we welcome controversy. We welcome controversy. If you disagree with any reading, feel free to share your thinking. Very important that we know what you think. Don't leave the meeting thinking that we won't welcome controversy or that we won't welcome challenging thoughts. We welcome everything. We have our own philosophical position on certain things. However, in terms of discussion, we welcome all controversy. Thank you, Brother Pigeon. Continue, please.
Now, to those who like to be controversial, they say that the world is periodic, that the universe repeats itself in circles of time. Okay, that's what I've been knowing ever since when we were born. Now, growing up in schools, we are told the world is going in rounds. I don't know what they were saying. I was a geography student some times back. That they're saying that the sun sets from this side, then it's the other side. So we believe that the world was going, and we were told that if you move in eastern direction, you find yourself at the same direction, the same spot, but from a different direction. So it's interesting that such thinking that or such understanding we've been having is more of controversy. Anyway, it's controversial. Then I get the idea that despite of whether that takes into consideration the movement of the world or whether the universe is periodical, there's a clear point in here that the initial basic raw materials should be infinite in extent. And I think as it goes, because even in our traditions, we believe that also the human life is in circle. In our traditions, we believe that those who came before us, our ancestors, are born again through the new generation that we give birth to, and we name them our previous ancestors. So we believe that people also live in circles; they don't die forever. When you name, like, honor my son, my grandfather, it's like the grandfather is back again to life, and life continues. You see. So basically, what I'm getting from this chapter, this paragraph, is that yes, even if the universe is periodic, but the basic raw materials, the initial basic raw materials must actually remain. Time might change, of course, as it says, but the basic raw material we agree either as it was for Thales and for Berkeley, either water spirits, but it must remain. And therefore, it's only either. But I'm not sure. I really have to ask. The teacher of geography, or was a student of geography. I want to ask whether is it true that the world move like it we are told in those things that it goes like that. If you stand here, you go to the other side, you come back. I'm not clearly sure about this, and I cannot ascertain whether this is true that the world is periodic. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you are referring to the circumnavigation of the world. That if you go in a particular direction, you come back like a sphere. It's not a perfect sphere. It's like a sphere. But can I ask you, why do you say it's controversial? Why did you sign a note of controversy first before you spoke? Why did you think anything you said was controversial?
Uh, it's from the paragraph. It says those displaying more passion for controversy. It means this conversation of the periodic of the universe is a controversy. Those who want to get more controversial, and this is what it says. I never knew whatever I had learned before is more of controversial, but I thought it was the reality. So I don't know if it's controversy still.
Yeah, I think, Comrade Pigeon, you are referring to what is inside the universe. When you refer to the cycles of time, and you use the example of the Earth, rotating and revolving around the sun, which example you use, the sun setting, the sun rising, you are referring to things inside the universe. The question we are dealing with is the universe itself, not what is inside the universe. It's the universe itself. So that's the argument. The universe itself, not what is inside, but the universe itself, experiences cycles. It comes in cycles. And those of you who are conversant with the Buddhist view of the universe will. Can I ask, is anybody here a Buddhist? Because they have that view of the universe, yeah, that they can share with us. If you're a Buddhist, please share with us. But anyway, thank you very much, Brother Pigeon, for your view. Can I ask though, is time if the universe or the cosmos is itself the basis of time, then how can it be subject to time if it is itself the creator of time? Yeah, if the cosmos itself, yeah, the cosmos itself is the basis, the cosmic raw material is out of the cosmic raw material that time itself emerges, then how can we then redefine the cosmos using its cosmic raw material, using its own child, as it were? So that is something I've thrown out there. Let's hear from, we've heard from Brother Russ, we've heard from Brother Michael, we've heard from Brother Pigeon. Let's go to Sister Marlene, please. Sister Marlene, want to hear your thinking on what is on the screen. Thank you. Tamale is not ready, so let's go to Brother Mafafa, please.
Yeah, greetings, Chair. I have just arrived
Greetings.
where I may I propose that you continue. I'm just following. I've just arrived.
Yeah, we'll come back to you later. iPhone is not on, has no microphone, so I take it. Brother Simon Chibi is also not on mic, so I take it he is also just listening. Right. So those of us with mic, so the next person will be Brother Jason. I know someone sent us a message. I want to read the messages that have been sent. Yes, Brother Russ is talking about dark matter. Yeah, dark matter, which is the most predominant in space. That's correct. And then Brother Russ again said we have a global problem of flat earthers and geocentric earthers. That's correct. Thank you, Brother Russ, for those comments. Right, let's hear from Brother Jason, please. I don't know if you're able to speak, Brother Jason, your thoughts on what is on the screen.
Oh, the iPhone guy or the iPhone
Has come. Yeah, I can see. You know who that is, Brother?
is now on.
Brother Pigeon, we can't hear you what you said. Yes, I can see the
I'm not
iPhone.
sure unless you
Mike. Yeah, we'll ask him or her to
can they
confirm
speak?
who he or she is. Brother iPhone, brother or sister iPhone, can you identify yourself, please? Thank you. Can you identify yourself, please, brother or sister iPhone? Excellent. Yeah, can you speak? Yeah, you've unmuted yourself. Can you speak, please? We can hear you. I think maybe he or she's having trouble where they are, so we'll give him or her some time to settle down. We'll come back to you, brother or sister. Let's go to Brother Jason. Brother Jason, are you able to speak? Let's hear your views on what is on the screen. Yeah, brother or sister iPhone, come in whenever you are able to speak because you may be having problems where you are. So feel free to, I see you are unmuted now. If you want to speak, please do. Okay, right. Anyway, come in when you can. Let's go back to Brother Jason. Brother Jason, are you able to speak? If not, let's go on to the next paragraph. Because we've heard from everyone, haven't you? All those who can't speak, from everyone. Okay, so let's go on to the next paragraph. Right. Okay. I'm scrolling down.
Comrade, Chair.
Yep.
Chair.
Yeah, I'm listening.
You haven't shared your thinking on the same. Maybe you haven't shared
Thinking.
your thinking on the same, or maybe you forgot.
No, I haven't forgotten. I haven't forgotten. I'll share my thinking. So thank you. So my thinking, if I go back, yeah, my thinking is that the paragraph is reminding us that there are there are different views on the extent of the universe, and when arguments about the extent of the universe is being made, it's being made in the sense that somehow the extent of the universe links up with whether it is permanent or not. And in this paragraph, we come, I think, maybe for the first time, maybe the second time, we've come face to face with the idea that matter itself would have a power of self-regeneration. So what it means is that matter itself have within it the power to things, the power to act. Because usually when we talk about intelligence, when we say, when you say, for instance, a stone is a stone intelligent? It's a stone. Is it an intelligent thing? When that question is asked, the real question that is being asked is whether a stone is capable of thinking. And therefore, if a stone is capable of thinking, can the stone act? That really is the question. So when we say human beings intelligent, we mean that human beings can think and therefore they can act. By acting, we mean they can talk like I'm talking now, they can get up and walk, they can run, they can do different things. And the power to do all that is within the human being himself or herself. When you talk, the power to talk is from inside you. So what this paragraph is saying is that somehow the cosmos has within it the power of self-regeneration, which means that it is able to act on itself. It is able to generate itself. It's able to repeat itself. Now, those who argue that the universe is not a materialist universe sometimes argue on the basis that somebody has to create the universe, that the universe or the cosmos cannot, if you like, create itself. That is the argument. Why? Well, because for the universe to create itself, it must have within it the power to self-generate. Now, you notice that when physicists make the argument of the Big Bang, they are not saying that the bang, what Brother Russ referred to as at the molecular level, that molecular action, that it doesn't come from outside it. It comes from within that molecule itself. So that is the argument being made. And I think, so Brother Pigeon, you asked me for my thinking. This is my thinking. My thinking is that we came across the fact that Thales said that water is the basis of the universe, that water is a cosmic raw material. And then when you then ask, well, how does water, if water is a basic raw material, then how is it that we have a universe with different things in it. And then the argument, therefore, is that how did water, hmm, which is a cosmic raw material, where did it get the power from to generate itself and become a whole cosmos? And the answer being given here by those who uh, kind of those who assert the cycles of time argument is that it has within it the power to self-generate itself. So we'll come across this more. If you ask me, well, what has all this got to do with African liberation, education, and development? To answer that question, then I will draw your attention to the fact that what we are really discussing is whether you as an African has within you the power to self-generate yourself. Do you have the capacity to act on your own as Africans? Or do you need somebody else from outside to come and to get you to act? Sometimes when we're having this discussion, we don't make those links. So if you take the situation in West Africa, for instance, as an illustration, the impetus to go to war, is it coming from within Africa itself? Is it coming from the West Africans themselves? Is it coming from the Africans themselves, within Africans? Is the power to go to war or the will to want to go to war, is it coming from within Africa itself? We've heard that the AU is against war. So where is that coming from? Is it coming from within or is it coming from without? So this is the argument we are making. If we haven't realized it, I'm telling you that is the argument we are having, because there are those who believe that the black man is not capable of thinking for himself. Black man is not capable of thinking, of even knowing, of understanding anything. The black man is just a buffoon. The black man is something to be just put on a pedestal to be a clown, to be there to entertain those who know, those who have powers of self-motion. Those are the real human beings. And the black man is not capable of thinking for himself. I'm talking about racist, deeply offensive ideas. But what this paragraph is telling us is that actually it could just be that you have within you the power to act, the power of will. You have within you the power to act. And therefore the power to liberate ourselves. In other words, the fight for liberation came from within Africa itself. Did it come from Africa itself? Or did it come from Africa? So that is what we are discussing. That is what that paragraph is discussing. If I link it to our liberation development, brother, that is my thing. So let's go on to
Can I come in?
Yes, you can.
Yes, it is good. It was interesting to get your linkage with the current affairs in Africa. And then I like to think that if it's said that either the world is either in periodic or universe repeats itself, they don't like also to say that either in context of Africa, that there's events that going on in Africa are in repetitive moments, like they are in periodical moments. They repeat itself in times. For example, there was slavery before, there was colonialism, there's no colonialism. There's literally no big difference in this. It's just the repetitions of activities and events that took place over a period of time, but they're the same things going on, you see. They change the form, but the actual, if you talk of basic raw material, probably the actual intention and behavior or intent is the same. Over a period of time from slavery, it was still exploitative in measure. Colonialism was still in exploitative in measure. Neocolonialism
but
is still also exploitative.
yeah, but Comrade Pigeon, remember what Brother Ras said. Brother Ras said that the cosmos, if we date it, has been here for what? Is it 4.5 billion? Brother Ras, is that what you said? 4.5 billion years? Is that correct? Brother Ras, come in.
Sorry, yes, Michael, that's correct. 4.6 billion years ago.
4.5 billion, yeah? So, yeah, thank you. So, Comrade Pigeon, if you are then talking about, I'm not disputing what you're saying, I'm just adding to what you're saying, that in that case, the question then becomes, from what you're saying, are we saying that us as Africans, that colonialism and its manifestation has been in cycles of time? And we say that if we go back a billion years, because that's how long we've been on this planet, I'm talking about Africans, black people, yeah? We've been here for at least 1,000,000 years. Although we only remember about in terms of written records, maybe about 30,000, because the records of the planets is about the written one. I mean, it's about 29,000 years, which is now about 29 plus 2,000 years since AD 0. AD 0 is 31,000 years. Yeah, about 31,000 years. So are you saying that?
Yeah,
Yeah, come in.
Sorry, Chair. Please,
Yeah, come in.
please mute Comrade Pigeon. Please mute Comrade Pigeon. We cannot
Is it by the Comrade
hear
Pigeon? Okay.
Yes,
Brother
yes.
Pigeon. Yeah, thank you. Brother Pigeon, come in if you want to speak, because you were speaking. I was just adding to what you were saying. Yeah. So are you saying that colonialism, new colonialism can be seen in terms of cycles of time? Is that what you're suggesting, Brother Pigeon?
I was suggesting that if you dig down in the history, the common thing is exploitation in nature, the intent of control over one another. Probably, if you read the history of either the Maroons and not even the Maroons, it was sometimes believed, of course, that we were dominating this whatever we call the universe or whatever, and we were in power and in control over a period of time. It's believed, I don't know, somewhere that in the history of Spain and Europe, there were black people who were there and they were ruling those areas. But over a period of time, it was changed. The reverse came about, and now they came back again and starting controlling us again. And every time and again, these circles move on, we get ourselves
Oh, I
out,
see what you
we
mean.
come in, out. So yeah, so it's like there's something like a nature of the human beings, I don't know in terms of what aspect, trying to either or exploit or rule over one another, and this has been nature, and the intention is the same despite of the forms it takes over a period of time.
Yeah, I think I have a point there. That is something we can look into. The idea that why did the Spanish come to colonize us? Well, because we went to colonize them first. Africans crossed and went there and colonized them. Black people colonized the Spanish people. And that raises the question, were the Spanish people all white, or were they black people? Anyway, thank you for that. Let's hear from Brother Mafafa now. I think he's heard enough to be able to comment now. Brother Mafafa, unless you want me to move on to the next paragraph, I'm happy to do that.
Yes, yes, Chair. Mine will follow up on the deliberations that leaders have also made here, is to say that yes, I have listened what the leaders are saying, but I think you can move to the next paragraph. But also from the question of Comrade Bijim, I think the last one of exploitations. That is why I've also asked a question from the group, if you remember, and we once engaged with Comrade Bijim to say some communists argue that the priority and the primary objective is the unification of class than the unification of Africa. The argument is that what is needed is what Marx say that the class, the workers, because it's also exploitation between the two classes. They say the working class is the one that needs to unite and fight that, because if you unite Africa, it means that you are dividing the class across the way, across the world, and you are ignoring those working class that is suffering in America and in Europe, because even those are suffering. I think all you are moving around, I can be glad to also hear your ideological view on that. Thanks.
Yeah, in fact, Brother Mafafa, thanks for raising the question. Let us be clear that on the view of consensus that, although it's not stated here, it's stated more in the other book called Class Struggle in Africa, that the unification of Africa is on the basis of the working class and the peasants. That the working class of Africa must invigorate, must inspire the peasants and unite with them because they are the majority. So the unification of Africa is not the unification of liberals or the unification of conservative politicians or liberal politicians. In any case, those guys are not interested in sharing Africa's wealth, even with Africans anyway. Understand? The liberals are not really interested in having, for example, good drinking water for everyone in Africa. They're not really interested in that. And even if they are, it's not their priority. Their priority is to make a lot of money and just themselves and their families, immediate family, live good lives. And that's it, they don't really care. The conservatives are the same. And in West Africa, they are those calling for war. Because when we go to war, money will come from outside and it go into their private pockets. So they are really interested in war. They are warmongers, yeah. So yes, so you are right in the sense that when we talk about the unification of Africa, we're not saying that we want a united Africa led by people who want to go to war against African people. That's not what we want. We don't want a united Africa in which we have liberals in office who send armies to go and kill fellow Africans. Nor do we want conservatives in office, conservative president of the whole of Africa, who will go and be killing Africans, exploiting Africans. No, we want an Africa that where the majority from the government, the majority in Africa are, in terms of work, are the workers and the peasants. They are the majority. In fact, across Africa, the educated population is not a lot in terms of very high education. If you look at the whole of Africa in terms of post-secondary education, university, post-university, we're not a lot. We're not a lot. A lot of Africans remain undereducated. And so yeah, so thanks for drawing our attention to that. Let's move on then to Brother Gonza. Well, welcome. We haven't seen you for a very long time. It's a pleasure to see you in our meeting.
Thank
welcome.
you.
Right, let's go on to the next paragraph, which is on the screen. Brother Mafafa, can you read it for us, please? The one that started, unfortunately.
Yes. Unfortunately, the problem of time is a stumbling block to this cyclic theory. Whatever is multiple can be ordered in a series. It is evident that the cycles of the universe must, by reason of being multiple, admit of order in a series. Accordingly, these cycles can be associated with a linear time dimension which extends infinitely beyond any one of the cycles themselves. Indeed, this time dimension must order the cycles themselves because some of them must come before others. Now it is possible to conceive this time dimension as itself spanning a universe in which the allegedly allegedly cycles, instead of being universes, merely spell out seasonal changes inside a super universe. When this is done, one starts from a series of universes and strings them together into a super universe. Thus, the cyclic nature of the universe pays away like a bad dream.
Okay, so let me go back to the beginning of the paragraph. Thank you, Brother Mafafa, for reading for us. Now, let's hear what people think. Let's start with Brother Gonza, please. Let's remember that we can always pass and come back to.
Yes, please. You can go forward. I will do later.
I'll come back to you. All right, no worries. Brother Ras, are you able to comment on that, please?
Hey, I want to hear someone else before I come.
Okay, in that case, let me say a few words before we continue. So, and then I'll hear from, and then we'll hear from everyone. So we've been reading about the argument from the previous paragraph, which I'm scrolling up now, that says that the universe can be seen in terms of cycles of time. And the problem is that when you look at it in terms of cycles of time, then those cycles themselves, okay, let me not preempt what others will say, but let me say it this way. If we are saying that the universe itself, not what is inside the universe. So let's be clear. We're not talking about what is inside the universe, like us, the planets, and so on. No, we're talking about the cosmos itself. Now remember that when we say the universe, that is what we mean. Yeah. So if there is a universe, remember, universe means one. Yeah, one universe. Yeah, one is one. So if there's only one universe, then it means that there's no universe outside the universe. Yeah, it's logically impossible. If there's a universe outside the universe, then that universe that is outside the universe is part of our universe. And those two universes then become one universe. So however you look at it, you cannot have a universe outside the universe. Yeah? The question is, can you have that? Can you have a universe outside the universe? We saw last week that that question, when looked at from the perspective of theological beliefs, raise a question of deism, theism, and atheism, if you recall. And Brother Fukua, who is also here, welcome, Brother Fukua, has been doing a presentation on us on some secret societies, and he will continue that next Saturday, I believe. So what this paragraph is throwing to us, is telling us is this, that if the universe, yeah, is itself, okay, I'm talking about the cosmic raw material, the source of the cosmos, that from which the cosmos is. Yeah. If so remember that there cannot be time before time. Yeah. So before there is time, there cannot be time. Yeah. Time itself must have been created at the beginning. So before the beginning, there was no time. So if that is the case, then how then do you, I raise this question for, how then do you begin to use time to then identify the universe itself, when the universe itself is the source of the creation of time? I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense. And so you see that if you're going to use time or cycles of times. Oh, actually, the universe can be seen as a cycle. You know, it comes and then it goes, and then it comes and then it goes. Then the question is, how can you use that to define the 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 universe, the cosmos, when the cosmos itself, you know, is the source of the creation of everything, including cycles? That is really the point here. I don't know if I'm making sense to you. Yeah. So 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 if I apply it to us, to our situation, if the black race, by the black race I mean the human race, yeah. If the human race and the black race is the source of all who live on this planet, if the Indians, the Chinese, the Caucasians, yeah, if they all came from the African, how then do you use them to define the African? Yeah, how can you use, because yeah, how can you use Caucasians to define Africans when everything that they have has come from the African, even though some don't admit it. Yeah. So I'm saying this to apply. I continue to point out to us that the point of philosophy, the whole point of philosophy, the African sense, is that it must be used to solve a problem. That is why we create philosophy as Africans. We don't create philosophy for the sake of creative philosophy. I mean, there are those who say that, well, you know, philosophers are people who just sit down and then you know, they have time on their hands, so they just sit down and they dream about things, and then they think about things. They're thinkers, yeah, and they think, and then as if those are not workers. You know, if somebody has a time to just sit down and think and not do any work, then that person is not a worker, or is doing brain work. Or if that person does not work for their daily living, for their own daily bread, then they must be holding slaves who do the work for them. And so they can sit down, not work in terms of their daily bread. They don't cook any food. It's cooked for them. People farm for them, bring it to them, they just eat. And surprise, surprise, or no surprise, that was the nature of ancient Greece. That slaveholders were those doing philosophy because slaves were doing the work for them. That approach to philosophy is not what we are discussing here. The approach to philosophy that we are discussing as Africans is a philosophy that we use to solve problems. That is what we are discussing. So I've just tried to say a few things and to link what we are reading with real life for us, so that we can see that what we are reading it's about real life. So I'll stop there and then get others to think, to come in. So let's hear from brother Fukwa.
Well, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, good evening.
It's actually, it should be evening here, 7:06. I'm not so much paying attention to the time. I was actually reflecting deep in the concept of time. I'm actually lost in time, really.
Just so you know, brother Fukwa, it's evening at your place. You are in Ghana, but it is night in Kenya. So, so we are in different time zones.
You see,
yeah,
I think that might be where the conflict is coming from. Before I keep missing the time, because it seems that we started since now.
We start at what?
I said, am I coming late? Because I'm seeing 7:07 in my own clock, but it seems that we started maybe more than 7 minutes ago.
We started 1 hour ago.
You see, so I've discovered there's a conflict in the time difference.
Yes, it's GMT. We start GMT. We don't start Accra time. We start GMT. I think brother PG makes it clear in the poster he sends around. But brother PG, maybe you might want to stress that.
On the flyer it's saying, but is it 19 hours, and then it says London time now?
Yes,
so London
that is
time.
GMT. Yeah, as you know, the Greenwich meridian goes through London, Greenwich in London, and then also goes to Ghana, Accra in London, Accra in Ghana. So what we have is that Ghana and Accra, Ghana and the UK or England share the same time in terms of the Greenwich meridian, but there are differences in summer. But essentially, I mean, right now, Ghana is 7 o'clock, isn't it?
Yes.
8 past 7. But
that means
that
you should
is, yeah, but we are GMT. We are Greenwich Mean Time. That's why it's called Greenwich Mean Time, not Accra Mean Time.
Okay. Then the time for you is also
So,
7 o'clock now, or it's 8.
yes, it's 8 o'clock. Greenwich Mean Time is 8 o'clock. So if you just bear in mind, if we all just bear in mind that we had hold on, Pigeon. If we all just bear in mind that we are dealing with Greenwich Mean Time, then I think everything's clear. Yes, come in, Pigeon.
Okay.
Yes,
I've realized what Brother Foko is saying, because I have corrected the timing in terms of the text that I attach, but the poster text, the poster timing has not been changed. So the poster timing has been speaking of GMT, which has come to my mind that I need to change. But the message that accompanies the poster is always in London time or Nigeria time. I've been categorical on that. So the GMT time in the poster is, of course, going back to the Ghana time. So that's why people in Ghana think that it's 7 by GMT in Ghana time, while it's supposed to be Nigerian 7, not Ghana 7. Something like that. So I will correct the poster. I will do some editing.
Okay.
Yes.
And then,
so for me, it means I know that I should be ready by 6 here. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I should be ready at 6.
Yeah. So what you could also do, Brother Pigeon, is to just make it clear on the poster. Just stress it. Maybe underline it. Just sometimes people read what. So people do not read what is on the paper. They read what is in their mind. So it may be a good idea to just stress it and just make that note that please note. And then does that make sense?
The poster time is wrong. The poster time is wrong. I've realized it now. The poster time is not correct with the text time. The poster time talks of 1900 GMT, while the text time talk of 1900 UK time and Nigeria time. So I will change the poster time to be 1900 UK time or Nigeria time.
All right. Thank you very much for that. Let's go to Brother Fukwa then.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting about this discussion is that it's bringing out where my mind was even reflecting what is time. We see that time actually it's relative to our perception of particular conditions. You see it. If you want to look at
Brother Fukwa, just so you continue with discussion, the position in this paragraph we are reading, let's remember that we are talking about the cosmos itself, which means that the origin of time itself is a cosmic raw material. That's where it's coming from. So time is not absolute. Does that make sense?
Exactly, which is the point that I'm bringing, because that's just a particular perception. If you look at the definition of time, it just means that we're trying to look at particular sequences of events or occurrences and then giving them some type of linear progression, past, present, and future. This is actually a mental construct that it's based on the finite human perspective, because we're the ones who count what we call sunrises. But in a raw presentation, what we're counting as sunrises and giving all of this elaborate calculation to is just a rotation of the earth turning with the sun, which is just another star at a particular location at so many intervals. And we've based now a whole paradigm of reality on it, and we call this mental construct time, to the point that someone who's keeping time in one area, following the same integers and numbers on a clock that someone else in another area on the planet would be doing the same thing, still would bypass each other in sequencing themselves to have a particular experience at the same place and what you would want to call time on the face of the planet. Do you see? So it's interesting because we're trying to relate the concept of time as well, it's not that we're trying to. What the text is trying to break open the reality that perhaps the civilization that we have been groomed under tries to give us the impression that time is fixed and that it has to be measured in one point or another, even if it's to at last say that it is in infinite cycles, or that the universe is or might repeat itself in different stages, or something of that matter. How do you put a measurement to this type of an infinite system when you have numbers of this astronomical level? And that's finally in the human mind, like, goes back to what I was saying when I began. I think that time is really just, it's something that we human beings have created, though it does exist, kind of like mathematics, like numbers themselves. You see it, there's quantification in nature, but we take it to the point that we try to act as if we can define our reality by it, and in one way or another, just looking at what the cosmic substance is. You see, we try to create an impression that there's even limitation in the cosmic substance, because if we want to attach this whole paradigm of time and deism to the popular belief we all know we follow, Christianity, we're waiting for Jesus Christ to come back, according to what we have been taught. And that would make us then believe that there's a limitation in time, there's a limitation in the cosmic material we have for us to be able to transform through production to actually create reality while we are waiting for this grand God to come. And then it then points all of civilization following this paradigm and belief in this limitation in a particular direction, which is even fatalistic. You would see more wars would be occurring because people would feel there's limitation of resources, there's a limitation of minerals. We have to conquer people and subject them so that the minerals are used in a particular direction while waiting for this great deity to come. And time is governed by this principle. And if we look at it practically, that's what we're doing when we're following the Gregorian calendar, which is a time sequence which was created by a particular group, all now fashioning how we look at what is the linear progression of events in our own reality. So that's my own reflection, just looking at some few sentences there and trying to look even.
Yeah, thank you. Brother Russ has been shared with us that he's been attending some cosmic classes where they've been talking about the different calendars there are. And if anybody here would like to do a presentation for us in terms of the different calendars, that would be great. We'll be very happy with that. Let's remind ourselves, though, that the Ptolemaic system that the West inherited came from us, which was a product of 29,000 years of observing the planetary system. The Dogon in Mali, as you know, have that also in their law. They also have that understanding. The Zulus in South Africa, I believe in Uganda as well, Brother Gonza, they also have that ancient understanding. So if anyone wants to present to us on the question of time, that is great. But coming back to the reading then, what we are saying is that however you see time, time itself comes out of the cosmic raw material. So the question then is, how do you apply time, our understanding of time, to the cosmic raw material? Do we think that we can even think like that? And we can't even think like that. Do you not think that if you think like that, you are making a strategic error? If you think in terms of time, and you look at the cosmic raw material, that is itself the origin of time. In other words, as Brother Foucault was saying, aren't we being asked as Africans to step back and look at the whole thing again? It's not what this paragraph is telling us. So yeah, let's hear from others. Brother Pigeon, you can come in, please.
Thank you. I was really taken away by your contribution in regards to, of course, when you talk of even you are trying to relate to the human race issues or the race that everybody, of course, if you believe the black is the first creature, the first being on this, of course, this
I
universe.
don't claim it. It's a scientific position, Brother Pigeon.
Yes, if that is the case, then there's something that is interesting that should come out of it. Then why do you have to struggle today in terms of naming people different races? Where is the struggle coming in? Are we not realizing, and this is the position, that we are one people, that there's no difference between he who is at a white race, a which race, and which race. We are all human race. And therefore, if you are saying that, of course, from my understanding and my thinking, if philosophy is to give a solution, then the solution towards this struggle of what's so-called race struggle must come clearly here by us understanding the philosophy that you are one human race, and therefore, instead of fighting or competing in guards of who is superior and who is inferior, it's just that maybe we have not understand the proper philosophy and ideology that actually we are one people, and therefore there should not be struggle over one person vis-a-vis other person. And this is why for a long period of time it has been, as what I was saying, the rule or exploitation of one group to another group or one class to another class, that I think I'm better and you are lesser, and then we want to come back to control you because we have not allowed ourselves maybe properly to think that we are one human race, and therefore we must think on how we survive together. I think that's what carried me away as in the process.
Yeah. Can I say something before I get somebody else in? So let's get clarity on two things. You see, there is exploitation. Brother, I'm muting you because of the sound from yeah, and then you can, when you want to speak, you can always unmute yourself. So what was I saying? So there is a difference between the exploitation um, is common to all human beings. Yeah. In other words, black people exploit black people just as much as uh, Chinese people exploit Chinese people. So exploitation in that sense is universal. But the racist dimension or the racism as an extra layer of exploitation, whereby the exploitation is not just by class, it's also by race, meaning that you are exploited on account of your class, position, and your race also. Now, if we add gender, whether you are male or female, then we add another extra layer where a woman is exploited on account of class, race, and sex. So exploitation is universal, and so are other types of exploitation. The racial aspect is what you are referring to, and 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 in that sense, even Africans themselves are guilty. They are guilty because Africans also exploit Africans. So yeah. So I just thought I would clarify that. Um, but I was raising the question of if you apply the point of this paragraph to us as human beings, the question is how do you define the African using groups that have come out of the African? How do you do that? In other words, how can someone say that whites are superior to Africans? You know, it's like saying what is inside the universe is greater than the cosmic raw material itself, which is not possible. Whatever a child has, surely the child came out of the mother's womb. So how can the child have anything if it was already in his mother? You know. So then you get an idea that all this is just racist nonsense. That's all it is, complete nonsense. Anyway, the other thing also is that let's remember that the story about racial inferiority is very recent. It hasn't always been part of the life of. It hasn't always been the case that Africans have been inferior to anybody. This was created to justify exploitation. It started with slavery. They had to tell a story to justify slavery. And that's where it's all coming from. So it's all just nonsense, basically. Anyway, let's hear from others. Oh, Brother Mafafa is gone. I'm sure he'll come back. Mr. Marlin, you haven't said anything yet.
No, I haven't said anything because you've been going into loads of other things.
Yes. What is your thinking so far?
Oh dear.
Just share one. I know you are a thinker, so share just one with us.
Where it was talking about raw material and what have you,
The
and
cosmic raw material, yeah.
and it's like infinity. It's like raw material and infinity. Things will go on and will just continue indefinitely.
But will
You
it though,
know,
Mr. Marlin? But will it?
sorry.
But will it though?
Depends on what type of things. If it's talking about
I mean,
things
let's talk about the cosmos. Let's talk about the cosmos. Are we certain that this cosmos will continue forever and ever? What is the basis for us believing that? Isn't it just a belief? In other words, what makes us think that this cosmos will just be there forever and ever?
What are you referring to? The cosmos,
the cosmos,
the Earth,
the universe, the universe. The Earth is
yeah,
just
the Earth.
one planet in the universe.
Well, unless man destroy it, because it's been here for millions of years, hasn't it?
Well, man can destroy his or her habitation, but the universe is so vast that whatever we do here is just like a fly in space. It's really nothing. There's nothing we can do that will. I mean, the Earth is just like a dot. It's like a grain of sand on the beach. Anyway, think about it. We'll come back to you, Sister Stamalin. I think you had a lot of thinking there. Let's go to Brother Gonza, please.
Thank you. So what I understand from this is close to what Malin has said. I think the writer is talking about the existence, of course, what we have attempted to define as time. I mean, the existence of the universe, and in the normal way of things, man has attempted to explain this existence as time. But what Nkrumah is trying to say is that events are going to continue things are going to continue happen, but they can be, they will be repeated, but how they are happening, I think that is what we should understand, that we can be able to influence, but they will continue to happen. And hence what Nkrumah, of course, in other chapters, what he attempts to explain and call that the positive forces or the positive action must always exceed the negative energy if you want to keep society in order. I think I've heard this also. I read it somewhere where Mao Zedong was trying to explain the idea of dialectics, that every object or every action has within itself the seeds of its own destruction. And so it must be a cycle, constantly a cycle. If you want to create order, you must destroy. If you want to things to grow quickly, you have to destroy something. And in that order which you have created, that is where again destruction is going to come from, or disorder is going to come from. And so you must always be aware of these facts. And actually, this is where sometimes I struggle myself to explain to people that the system, there is a system which Martin Luther King Jr. called, there's something which he called the negative peace, that you can have peace which when people are keeping quiet, things are are sort of looking as if there is tranquility, but under there is boiling forces which are, and discontent, there's a lot of discontent. Maybe people are being terrified, they are being scared, like what we are seeing today, that people came out to support a coup, which has happened. So it shows you that people are being stifled, but they cannot say anything. They are being intimidated, but they cannot say anything, but they're discontented. So that means there's negative peace. And then there's peace which is positive, where people are satisfied with the system and they say, we need this system to be there because we are satisfied of how we are benefiting from it or how it is serving us. Yeah, so that again takes us back to the idea that time will be there and then events will be in series, but that order can be interrupted. You can interrupt that order. And of course, at the same time, that is why Nkrumah talks about action. And then people like Che Guevara thinks that the revolution should be catalyzed. People should catalyze the revolution, should give it a push so that things can happen very quickly, so that you don't allow them to happen slowly, even though they're going to happen. But revolutionaries should give the process a push for it to happen. So hence that process. So the revolutionaries, if they come to power, they themselves, when they create the order, should always be on guard to understand that anytime this order can come about and disrupt the system which they have created. So that means they either have to create the disruption themselves, or they have to find a way of responding to that disruption which has come about, because there's nothing which is continuously stable and in one position. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Let's go to Brother Jason, please. Jason? Okay, Brother Jason is perhaps unable to speak. So let's go to Brother Russ. There are only 8 of us
Yes,
today.
my elder.
Very few. Yes, Brother Russ.
Yes, my elder. Blessed, my
Yeah.
elder. Okay, on what we're already discussing, it's a very interesting discussion, very fruitful. So what I've heard so far, what I've just picked up maybe just 2 points from General Pigeon, from the other elder who spoke here about the Gregorian calendar and stuff. So the first point I'm going in terms of my perception. First of all, based on what we learned there in the Rastafari Mystery School, and Elder Ital Ayman is his name. He's from America. So he told us about the Dogon. In fact, I'll just summarize in terms of cosmology in relation to what we're talking about. The Dogon tribe, obviously, they contain the science that we had in our time in Egypt and beyond. So with the science they have the science of the Series A and Series B constellation, which is the dog star. So the elder again in the class we are in is telling us that the Dogon people carry the secrets to the original star system that we Bantu people, African people come from. Because the elder tells us that we need to understand that we as Africans are the creators of the so-called white people, Chinese, whatever, the human beings, you see, in a sense that one of our ancestors who was a chief scientist, now I'm still talking about the concept of the cosmology, in relation to what's happening on Earth now. He tells us that our ancestors, when they arrived here on Earth, and he dates it to approximately 500,000 BCE. When they arrived here on Earth, they didn't fall here, as the Christian Bible states. They came deliberately to mine gold. So he claims that our original planet, it's a very deep topic, but I just want to go brief on it so that I can jump back to the Gregorian calendar. He says that now our ancestors, when they came here, when they came to mine gold, because they had a problem with our home planet, I think it was deteriorating and it was causing a lot of havoc in terms of the population. And so the king Anu, he's called Anu, the ruler of that planet, from the star series where the Dogon are actually practicing rituals from, which is series A. So what happens now, when they came here to mine gold, the same people who came here with them, or the extraterrestrials, we can put it that way, started to rebel in the gold mines here in Southern Africa, you see. And so the chief scientist, Enki, who the Maasai call Ngai, is the one who actually started to manipulate, called genetic manipulation, genetic modification, as we know, to create clones, as we know, Adam, to mine gold. So now these clones that were created by our ancestors are the human beings today that we know as the white people, whom we taught in recently in Egypt, our last civilization, which was 5,000 years ago, after the previous flood. Now, though these white people who were taught this African science now came with this Gregorian calendar based on the sun calendar of the Northern Hemisphere. So our ancestors, like the elder was alluding, which was a great point, that time is made, man-made. We can put it that way. Time is man-made in the sense that in the Southern Hemisphere, we as the Rastas or the Ethiopian people use the Southern Hemisphere calendar, which is known as the Ethiopian calendar, you see. And then this calendar is in sync with all, if I can put it in Justin J, hypothetically, it is in sync with the natural cycle that is happening in the Southern Hemisphere, more especially here in South Africa where I am. For instance, the new year of the Ethiopian calendar states that the new year begins in 11 September. That's according to the Gregorian calendar. On the 11th of September, if you notice on the 11th of September, more especially this side, and in accordance to the ethnic culture I come from, which is the Xhosa kingdom, within the time of September, plants start to grow. As we know, it's spring, you see. So that indicates new life, you see. So that is the new year in terms of the Ethiopian calendar. But when you date the Gregorian calendar here in the Southern Hemisphere, which was predominantly made for the Northern Hemisphere, having a new year here in South Africa doesn't really make sense or is not according to the law of nature, because the new year of the Gregorian calendar is in January, but in the Southern Hemisphere, January is still burning hot in the sense of that it's still part of the summer season. So my last point, before I go through, I close my point, is that when you look at the Dogon people, now our elder from the Rastafari Mystery School tells us that the Dogon people have since they've been practicing these rituals of Series A, state that in 2027, from now, we are in 2023, in 2027, Series B, which is the small star rotating around the big star Series A, will have its 50th rotation, you see, which signifies a certain symbolic event. So my main point is that with I agree, like the reason I said in the beginning that I agree with both these controversial statements is that at first, as Elder Kwame is saying, the cosmic material or the universe itself has given birth to time, of which time is man-made. Yeah, well, as we all exclaiming. And that now the final point I'm bringing across is that now in these happenings, we must understand and try to understand, in fact, that all of these creations are simply creations of our Bantu ancestors, including the so-called white people and everyone, you see. So that's the point I want to bring across in this last one, in terms of the spanning of the universe and the cyclic theory. That's it.
Thank you very much. That was very, very, very definitive. Thank you so much for that. Right, let's go to, I think we've heard from everyone now, haven't we? Oh, Brother Michael, we haven't heard from you.
So I have no comment to make. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So on that note, then we've heard from everyone. Let me go to Brother Jason once again to see if he can speak. I know he's got load shedding in South Africa, even though Ras is also speaking from South Africa, I believe. So, Brother Jason, are you able to now speak? Yes, I see you've unmuted yourself. Excellent.
Yes, Comrade Chair, good evening once again. I've been following, even though we struggle there and there, not hearing due to the load shedding. I'm not sure am I audible enough, but I've been
Yes, you are.
Yes, I've been part of the really informative sessions, or very, rich in knowledge, whereby it's actually broadened also my horizon, or broadened the scope of, as far as the cycling theory is concerned. So I don't have much from my side or to comment, except to be active participant or active learner also in the topic, as far as the topic of today or the discussion of today is concerned. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so thank you. But before you go, don't mute yourself yet. So, brother, in terms of cycles of time, Brother Ras has shared with us that the calendars that we have, the Gregorian calendar is for the northern hemisphere, and the Ethiopian calendar is for the southern hemisphere. And that the southern hemisphere has its own peculiar cycles. That's my understanding of what Brother Ras is saying. That in the southern hemisphere, we have our own cycles. And in the northern hemisphere, they also have their cycles. In the northern hemisphere, spring starts in April. In the southern hemisphere, it starts in September. That's what Brother Ras has been telling us. So there are different cycles for the different hemispheres. Brother Jesse, what do you think about that?
Chair, once again, I really agree with Brother Rush, because of it's true. Even with our time zone, they are not the same. I was also concerned before, with our poster time, for example. Even as you speak, the time it says to me 9:41. So the time will always differ, and I think at some point sometimes it brings a little bit of confusion on how we conduct ourselves, whether in the south hemisphere or in other different hemisphere. So in how we conduct ourselves, but at the end of the day, that confusion, or that different time zone, sometimes the question comes to us questioning whether am I African enough, or am I an African whom the other African in other hemisphere, they are doing things differently compared to the way we do things also in other hemisphere. Obviously, we're coming down to the different times that we have, or coming down to how time influence us at the end of the day. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Let's remind ourselves that time itself came out of the cosmic raw material. And therefore, the question is whether or not you can use cycles of time itself to define the extent of the cosmic raw material. You can see that it's a logical problem. However, if we try to do that, should we? Thank you all very much. Let's continue. I think we've heard from everyone now. So let me move on then to still on the same paragraph, but the rest of the paragraph that talks about the bad tree.
Chair.
Yes, Mafafa,
Yes.
you've come back. Excellent. Well, what do you think?
Yes, Chair, and all the comrades. Apologies. I made some few network challenges, then I dropped. I was to share my thinking on that paragraph. When you go back to that paragraph, I think they are mathematical terms.
Let me go back to, because I've come to the end of the paragraph. But let me go back to the main, where the main text is. I'm scrolling back up now. Yeah, there it is on the screen. Second before it comes through to you.
Yes. This is the one. When you read the paragraph, the paragraph is full of mathematical terms. It means that there is a mathematics principle that we need to draw from that paragraph, where Nkrumah is trying to explain the cosmetic raw material, the universe.
I can see the math teacher in his coming out. Yeah. Please carry on. Yeah, explain. Yes.
If I'm just interested on I think it's the principle on that, when it says that unfortunately the problem of time, I think time you have also explained is a stumbling block to this cyclic theory. When you speak about cyclic theory, I think we know from where the word cyclic comes from. Then you also include, say, what is multiple can be ordered in a series. What I learned, when you speak about a multiple, you know, when you say in numbers that what is the multiples of 5, you know that those are events. But the word series.
Hold on, Mafafa. For the sake of all of us, because not all of us here are math teachers or particularly like maths over in school. So let me give an example of the multiples. So for example, let's take the multiples of 2. So they are 2 times 1, 2, 2, 2, 4, 2, 3, 6, 2, 4, 8, 2, 5, and 10. The multiples of 2 will be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. So that is what we mean by multiples, brothers and sisters. Thank you. Yeah, Brother Mafafa, continue.
Yes, leadership. Yes, we've explained it. But when you read, it say those multiple can be ordered. When you speak about an order, ordered in a series, it means there is a pattern to be followed. When you speak about a series, it means the events, according to the analysis, according to Grum, is that the events that the cosmetic raw material is being from the universe, it is an event after followed by another event. It means there is a series, which means that the events, the way they happen, according to my thing, is that can be traced, but they follow one another and one another moving forward. I think that's what my thinking I can draw from that. Then when you also go and you also follow the diagram, you say accordingly these cycles can be associated with a linear time dimension. When you speak about a dimension or linear time dimension, I think now using the time in a form of lines, you see how the way dimensions are. I think there is a.
Okay, can I come in there again, Brother Mafafa? So for the benefit of all of us here, but not all of us are math teachers or like maths when we were in school. So what Brother Mafa is saying is that if you draw a graph, yeah, and then you put those numbers on the graph, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and you join them, you get a line, a straight line. That's what Brother Mafa is saying. Thank you. All right, carry on, Brother Mafafa.
Yes, leadership. Yes, leadership. But yeah, the paragraph on the screen. I cannot see it now. That I was following on the
Oh,
screen. But
wow, sorry about
yeah,
that.
yes, yes. But my thinking was drawing back on that to say that, to cut it short, leadership due to time, is to say that there is a mathematical principle that we need to draw from what Nkrumah was writing about in the way of in the way the universe is being formed. Thank you.
Okay, so since you are interested in the mathematics of that paragraph, can I ask you in the next meeting to do a short presentation on the meaning of series? Very simple for us, for the benefit of all of us, yeah? So we all understand what we mean by a series.
Or a definition of unpacking a series.
Yeah, just explain it for us the next
Oh,
week. Yeah, just
yes.
when we say in mathematics a series, what do we mean? Now, if I use a biological term and say DNA, then you could say that when an egg is fertilized, the child that comes out, the fetus and the baby that comes out, those events are all determined by the DNA, the chromosome, if you like, of that fertilization. In other words, everything you see, the arm, the leg, the head, all that are events that have come out of that series, if you like. So the series now is like a formula, as it were. And where is that formula? Well, if Thales is saying that water is the cosmic raw material, then that formula is within the water itself. And if, as Berkeley said, the formula is spirits and their ideas, then the formula is within the spirit itself. So I think, thank you, Brother Mafafa, for that. So I think what we need to bear in mind here uh, in this paragraph is what we will see later in paragraph 5 when we look at analytical philosophy. And that is that when you're talking about abstract systems, then if you talk about abstract systems, then you can also look at it mathematically. But we are conscious, we are mindful that not everyone um, even likes maths, likes mathematics, or even liked it in school. And the reason could be several. It could be that we weren't taught properly when we were in school. But our forefathers were mathematicians. Our ancestors were mathematicians. In my language, the word for respect is calculation. Have you calculated the person? It's calculation. It's an accounting term. It's very interesting, to say, do you respect someone? The words we are using is saying, have you accounted for the person? It's an accounting, it's an accounting term. It's about calculations. It's about numbers and so on. Very interesting. So thank you, Madam Mafafa, for drawing our attention to the mathematical aspect of the abstract system, what we are discussing. The abstract system we are discussing is the universe as an abstract system. And it has a cosmic raw material, and the cosmic raw material has an extent. How much is it? Or how big is it? And if you talk about how much is it, then you are talking about that it is small or large. Or you are asking whether it is finite, which means limited, or infinite, which is unlimited. So that's what we are dealing with. And we are looked at it in terms of cycles. We are looking at it in terms of cycles, as Brother Mafafa was saying. The cycles are in terms of multiples of time, If you plot that on a graph, you get a line. Therefore, what does it mean? It means that those cycles really are, if you like, a mirage. That's what the last line of this paragraph is saying. That's the cyclic nature of the universe pales away like a bad dream. Because it turns out that the cycles we are talking about, that in effect, there are really no cycles. Because what is determining everything is something called the super universe, if you like, that there is some kind of super universe. But then we said ourselves, didn't we? How can there be a super universe if there's only one universe? If there's only one universe, then there's only one universe. There cannot be a super universe that is outside the universe itself. Why? Because if there is, then it is what? It is already in the universe. Now, if we apply it to ourselves, what we are asking is, as Africans, is there anything that is outside us? Surely everything that we need to develop, unify, and liberate the continent is all in us already. It's all already there. Why are we looking outside us for the answers when the answers are already here with us? As the authors of the human race, we have everything. So why don't we look within us? Well, if we look within us, then we raise the question: are we deists? No, don't look within. Let's look outside us. But if we do, are we saying we are theists? Which are we? We have to be clear, and so on and so forth. We could go on and on and on. So the time is 6 minutes to 4, and so let's end the meeting today by looking at, in fact, how do we apply what we've read African situation. Let's hear from.
Could I say something?
Yeah, Michael, you can start for us. How do we apply what we are?
I just wanted to talk about Saturday, and if Fokwa was going to present.
Yes.
What time does?
Are you asking him? Are you asking him, or you are telling us?
Well, I'm just trying to confirm everything. I don't know if Fokwa will speak. That if he's scheduled to speak on Saturday, what time does he start? Can we clear that point now?
Well, let's speak to him now, Brother Fukwa. Are you there? Unmute yourself.
Yes, I'm following.
Brother Michael is asking 2 questions. One.
Yes, with the time correction
will you be there? And if you are there, what time would you like to speak?
I'd been told 30 minutes into the program, if I'm not mistaken. So that would be 6:30 Ghana time. That I knew I was supposed to give my presentation.
Oh, no, not 6:30 Ghana time, brother. Not 6:30 Ghana time.
But the program starts at 7, not so. It's 8.
It will be 8:30 Ghana time.
So it's starting at your time 7.
Your time will be 8:30.
Okay. Yes, then it would be 8:30.
Because remember that we start at 7, finishes at 9. Yours will be 6 to what? 6 to 6 to.
If we work with GMT, we won't have any confusion. If you give him a start time for GMT, that will finish the matter.
Yeah, but Michael, we did, and he's still having difficulty.
Well, that's right. So if there's no point talking about conversion from Ghana to UK time, give him a start time for GMT time, and that will suffice.
Michael, and I said, even for this meeting, Brother Fukua has the GMT. I know Brother Pigeon has done some corrections. But anyway, Brother Fukua, so the meeting starts at GMT, London time. So you use that as your guide. Yeah?
Yes, Mr. Michael had said that I have 30 minutes, so I prepared something for that.
Yes, you have half an hour. If you want more, we can always give you more time. But,
yes, that's right. But I thought in the interest of maintaining people's concentration, if we broke everything down in 30 minutes chunks, it would be more palatable for people to concentrate. So if we said that you started at 7:30 GMT this Saturday, will that meet with your approval, Farquhar.
Yes, that's fine.
7:30
That's fine.
GM,
That's confirmed.
GMT. Thank you.
Yeah, GMT has Ghana time and London time. Ghana time is also GMT, Michael. Okay, so right, so that's clear. So the time is now 3 minutes to 9. Let's hear from us. Anybody wants to speak about how to apply what we've read to the African situation? Anyone can speak?
Can I?
Yes, Brother Pigeon.
Okay, thank you. Generally, what I'm driving from here, in context of the universe, let me bring it down to Africa. Probably we don't have any other Africa. Just the same way we don't have any other universe outside the universe. We only have one Africa. And therefore, it is our responsibility within this Africa to ensure that we make it better, to ensure that we work all our best. And we must also believe that, of course, you say it is a position, whether we are atheism or deism, we must believe that we have the ability to recreate anything within this Africa. And therefore, it's upon us to do that. If we think that it will go and have another Africa, probably it's not possible. So in context of the universe, I'll bring it to Africa that we have one Africa and this is the Africa we are in. And so we have to do our best to ensure that we liberate. No other forces will come outside, it's us to do it. And we must look inward and see what we can do for it. That's what I can say.
Thank you very much. Any other comment? 1 minute to 9. Anyone else wants to make a comment? Brother Pigeon, you can stop the recording now, and then we'll bring the meeting to an end. Thank you. Right.